Hello, hello, and welcome to a brand new live stream. I also hope that we are alive. Let me, guys, change the settings a bit, before starting every live stream. My daily routines, and let me see if you can hear me or if the chat works, and then we will jump right into what we want to do today, which is a course by Thomas Brush, the guy that I've talked maybe, sorry, too much. My daily routines. Yeah, I think everything moves perfectly fine. It's also a bit loud, honestly, but better like this than previously. What I want to do is check if the chat actually works by typing a comment. Just give me shut up. Mm, Sorry for that. Okay, let's see if it connects, and if it does, then we can jump into what we want to do tonight. Let's see. Yeah, I think it does. Does it? Okay. Apparently that's something I have to fix maybe. Oh, no, it works. Okay. Then we can do our things. Welcome. And yeah, this is gonna be it. I think I will still let my live stream here settings maybe in case something happens, but I hope not. No, shut up. Shut up. Okay. Um so it's perfectly everything's perfect. Okay. I'm sorry about the light though. I feel like the light is not the best one, but I'm using my lamp, so just basic lighting for tonight. That's all we got. Okay. So now, without any more introduction, we got all these courses from our favorite guy that I'm planning to live stream during the weeks ahead. I don't know exactly when, but we got a lot. So, as you can see, and maybe you've seen in the title, today is about the solo dev workshop. We have few videos. I hope they're gonna be interesting and we have to learn something from them. I haven't watched them, so it's gonna be first time reaction for you and me as well. Also, I have a surprise, but I hope you guys will join more. I don't know if it's late or not to do a live stream, but I'm spontaneous, so this is how it works for me in general. Okay, let's see.
How to make a game completely solo.
Now I want to check if the sound of the course works for price, but late or not if it's late, but I spontaneous, so okay, I'm just waiting a bit to see.
How to make it.
Okay, so everything works. Nice. Okay, let's jump into it.
That is the question that we're going to try and address here. Okay, there are two sides to solo game dev. Okay, there are. Let me check the chat here, make sure everybody's happy. Is everybody happy? Everybody here? Everybody hear me? Okay, come on in. Man, it's so cool to see so many of you show up so quickly. Wow, this is awesome. Okay, cool. Should you even watch if you're not making a game solo? Yes, because we're going to be addressing why solo development is so hard and why you might actually want to do it with a team, because I've done it both ways. Okay, there are two sides to solo game development. Okay, there's the emotional side and then there's the technical side. So in a way, your heart is sort of like stressed. I would say stressed is probably the best word. Stressed by two totally different um, things, right? Emotion and then the technical side, okay? So let's start with the emotional side of game dev, specifically the emotional side of solo game dev. We're going to talk about the problems associated with this emotional side. There's a couple problems and how you avoid those. Guys, ultimately, at the end of the day, the problems that you're going to have on the emotional side of solo game dev are going to lead you to quit. They're going to lead you to quit making your game. So you're not going to be like Toby Fox and release Undertale. You're not going to be like Thomas Brush and release a game after 5 years. You'll eventually quit. You're much more likely to quit. And the reason why is, number one, because nobody's holding you accountable, okay? So if you don't have a team, then nobody's really double checking you, right? And no, you're also not hurt.
I have to say something. The reason I created this channel is also to make sure that I remain consistent. I said it this Jesus Christ, I don't know what's going on with the light. Feels like I just came from heaven. I'm sorry for that. Um what I wanted to say is that yeah, this is the reason why I created this channel, to make sure that I have you guys, and if I'm not posting something, you will hit my Discord and be like, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Why aren't you active on YouTube? What happened?" And so, yeah, this is gonna keep me motivated. My goal. Um, I feel like I also have to adjust my camera a bit again. So because really don't know what's going on with the lights. For example, if I'm switching like this, for me it actually looks okay. But if I'm watching my live stream on my phone, that's the worst angle possible. I swear to
Hurting
God.
anybody if you quit. It's kind of an odd thing, right? It's kind of like well, it's like when you make commitments. Well, for me, my commitment to, let's say, fitness and eating well and running my business well, my commitment to all of that is not necessarily because of me, but because I have people who are relying on me, my kids, right? My wife. And that's why it's so important to have a team when you're making an indie game. And if you don't have a team, if you're doing it solo, we'll talk about the solution in just a second. This leads you to underestimate things, right? Because you're sort of, laser focused on the short term, but you're not really focused on the long term, right? So you're just maybe excited about one thing, let's say a new level or a new potential mechanic. And so you're constantly, well, what's called adding feature creep to your game. And you're slowly underestimating your game, and then suddenly 3 years have gone by and you're not even close to finishing your game. And by the way, if you're in that situation, let me know in the chat, because that was me for 5 years. Okay, you're constantly underestimating your game, leading to feature creep. The solution here is, this is gonna sound really like stupid, because I was writing this out and I was thinking, man, I wish I had a solution that wasn't so cheesy. So I'm going to try and make this cheesy solution actually make sense, and make it a little bit more concrete and specific for you. You need to visualize a concrete goal, okay? So I want to do an exercise right now in the chat. So everybody stop typing, and let's all write out our goal, okay? I'm not going to embarrass anybody. I'm not going to read them out loud, okay? I just want us all to do this exercise, okay? We're going to visualize a concrete goal. Remember, your goal needs to be specific. It needs to be achievable. And you need to have some kind of a timeline, okay? So what is the specific concrete goal? What do you desire the most from your indie game?
Okay, so what I desire the most from my first indie game, the one with the astronaut, the one that I have the video with on my YouTube channel, called I Made the Game in Unity in 1 day, is to finish it. Literally. As simple as that. But I know it sounds simple. The thing is, it's something very complex in my head, because I have this idea of a lot of levels, sorry, of a story, of music. So I just have to combine everything in one. Now, because I'm done with my exams, I hope I'll have more time. Also, we have to focus on the programming part, because I told you this summer I also have to practice that. So yeah, let's move on and see what comes next. I also hope the light is not that bad, but I feel like it really sucks, unfortunately. It really does, or at least for me on my phone, because I'm very red. Maybe if I can just adjust something very, very fast. Give me 1 second, guys. So, the issue. I'm just gonna do it like this. Maybe it's gonna work out. I hope.
You're going to be making or you're currently making. What, and don't be afraid, don't think that you have to make this some super deep metaphysical reason. Frankly, I would recommend a really shallow reason, because the shallow ones are usually the ones that are most enticing. Okay, so I want you to visualize a concrete goal. It could be, I want to make $50,000 when I launch my game. I want to impress this girl or this guy. I want to impress my family. I want to impress my dad,
I want to impress my audience.
right? It's that simple. Okay, concrete goal, and then give me the timeline. Okay, when is it done?
Oh, this is a bit hard to say, but let's say, okay, I'm gonna make a promise now. It's very hard to do that because, in general, I don't like promising something if I'm not sure I can achieve it, or at least keep my word. So let's say by the beginning of September, or no, by the middle of September, that means when I will start my second year of university, I will have 3 levels complete, but everything included: story, music, and gameplay itself. So 3 levels. 3 levels meaning 3 different locations. Okay, I hope I can keep my word.
Okay, not later this year, not maybe next year. June 2023, right? Something very, very specific. Now remember, when you're doing these,
Okay, so when I'm gonna start journey, I don't know exactly the date, but let's say 11th of September. Yeah.
things, again, that concrete goal and that timeline, remember, it needs to be achievable. You need to actually have something that's manageable, that you can actually do. So I'm going to let you guys write that out right now, okay? Remember, what's the hyper specific goal that your deepest desire? These are usually very shallow.
Okay. I guess we have to do what Thomas said. So we know that we will do it. So let's see. Solo. Oh, not an Excel. What? Or actually, we can do an Excel. It's gonna be even easier to visualize everything. Okay. Um, Solo Bash course. Hope it works. And now, what we will write down here is what I've told you before. So I'll do that. It's very sad that there's not a lot of you guys. But I know I haven't posted for a few days, 4 days actually. That's a bit sad though. But yeah, okay. So, um, desire. fin- Actually, I said to finish my first game, but I can't say that. Finish few parts of my game, maybe. Okay. Mm, and then say like this. Finish parts of my game. Date. Yep. And this is pretty much it.
And kind of embarrassing. I want to impress my dad. That's kind of embarrassing, but That's one of my goals, right? I was able to impress my dad. That was cool, right?
Same.
I want to make $50,000. That was one of my goals. Really shallow, but that's what I wanted to do. I want to get a review from Polygon, right? Something like that. And then the deadline, okay? So, guys,
So he said something about a review from Polygon. Who is Polygon? Game dev. Mhm. Maybe he's a YouTuber or something. Yeah, probably. The best of game dev assets. Maybe. Okay, let's get back.
what we've just written down, I think many of you have probably been just afraid to do this. You've been afraid to put it down on paper exactly what you want. Now, I'm going to talk about why this is so important, okay? But what I want you guys to do is keep the live stream open. And I want you, if you can, and I want those of you who do this to let me know when you've done it. This sounds really dumb, okay? But I'm just going to tell you this is exactly what I did, and it's why I was able to power through 5 years. So for those of you who actually do this, you're going to be one step above the people who don't do this. And
That's
you're
true.
much more likely.
I don't know if you ever heard about this, but Jim Carrey, the comedian, you may probably know the guy, literally wrote down a check to himself with a date. Uh, I think about $1 million, and he made around $3 million by that time. So when that day came, he literally had $3 million in his bank account, which is great, and it works like this power of writing things down and seeing them all the time. It triggers something in your brain that makes you, I don't know, very motivated and keeps you motivated to your goal.
To finish your game. What I want you to do is take what you wrote down in the chat, write it down on a piece of paper, and I want you to put it on your desk, maybe a sticky note, tape it to your wall, do something so that it's there
Okay,
while
Thomas.
you're working on your game. Okay? Now, go ahead and do that. And those of you who do it, let me know in the chat and I'll give you a shout out if you've actually done it. And be honest. While you do that, I want to talk about why we're doing this. Like, what does this have to do with nobody's holding you accountable? Well, when nobody's holding you accountable, guess who needs to hold you accountable? You. And the best way to get yourself to hold you accountable, to not add a bunch of features to your game, to not quit your game, the way you get yourself to be accountable is the goal holds you accountable. And the goal will hold you accountable if you really, 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 really want it. And if you see it, and if you smell it, and you taste it. That's why I wanted you to write down the shallowest goal you had.
I can't
The
wait to
most
smell my
like
game.
core subconscious. It's like what your id wants. That goal will hold you accountable. And so you really need to visualize exactly what that is. Okay. By the way, this right now, this is going to sound really lame, but this whole feeling right now, I've got plenty of plants. I'm looking out my window and it's warm outside. It's finally spring. It's bright in here. I'm in my home studio. I'm making games. I'm doing YouTube. This is what I visualized. Now, I'm not a fan of manifestation. I'm not talking about it will happen. No, I'm just saying you really need to know what you want if you're going to actually hold yourself accountable. Okay. So this right here is exactly what I wanted. And that's why I worked so hard to get to where I am now. So that's why we want to visualize a goal. So the goal holds us accountable. Okay. My pen's not working. Navneet did it. That's awesome. Sweet. That's awesome. Cedric, put it down on a sticky note. That's awesome. Let's see here. Sweet. Kai, Feckham, awesome. Duo, awesome. Kehoa, Charlie, I love seeing it's out there and people. It sounds like this is the thing is there's a lot of like gurus out there and people who do like webinars where they're telling you all this stuff that you're supposed to do, but they don't do it. Or they don't even do the entire craft, right? So, for example, I actually make games. I'm doing it right now. So everything I teach you guys is what I do and how I do things in my mind, how I handle things emotionally. Because I want to quit games just as much as you guys. Just ask my team. My team will tell you we've quit games before.
Okay, so this was the first video. Next, I think, and we will say complete at the very end, I guess.
One other problem, this is the second major problem when it comes to the emotional side of solo game dev. You have no idea if your game is good. How many of you in the chat know that feeling of, I've been working so hard in this game and I have no idea if this is good? And let me get a hand, just a hand emoji if that's you, okay? You have no idea if your game is good. You have no idea what you're working towards, right? And in a way that makes it hard to work towards your goal because you're like, why would I work towards a goal if I'm making a bad game? So how many people in the chat know how that feels? Look at that. So there's a lot of people. And it's funny because I wouldn't know how to write this slide here and I wouldn't know how to talk about this if I didn't also feel it, okay? Now, this is kind of, well, here one more question, okay? Give me a thumbs up emoji. A thumbs up emoji if your game has gotten worse in your mind as the longer you've made it. So in your head, it becomes uglier and uglier and uglier and you hate it more and more. So let's give it a thumbs up emoji if that's you. Again, the thumbs up emoji is, does your game get uglier and uglier and you hate it more and more the more you look at it? DevTools, Daniel, Justin, Cedric, Austin. This is called, I'm going to name it video game dysmorphia. It's kind of like body dysmorphia. So body dysmorphia is when, like, it happens a lot with bodybuilders, or it happens with celebrities as well. They think that they're ugly, and then they keep making modifications and changes. And they look really weird to most people because they've just added a ton of features and they've changed so much about their game. That happens when it's just you. When it's just you working on your game, you have no idea what you're making because you're looking at it all day long, okay? This is going to make you more likely to quit or, again, more likely to make modifications that are totally unnecessary, okay? So the solution here, this is going to be very, very important. You're going to think, I'll do that later. I'm not ready. I'll do that later. I'm not ready. Do it right now, okay? Build a community. Build a community. And we're going to do this together right now, okay? Obviously, you want to be posting on social media. You want to be building an audience. I've built a very significant audience that I'm proud of. And not only do you guys, purchase things when I have digital products available or games available, but you also just support the games and you offer feedback. And so Twisted Tower became Twisted Tower. It used to be called Father. It became Twisted Tower because of community feedback. So I could see my game through the eyes of other people. And it makes a better game. It makes a game 10 times better when you have other people looking at it. So if you don't have a team, it's important to have a community. You also need to release a public alpha or a demo to that community. You should really be doing that pretty quickly. I'm going to be doing that with Twisted Tower here. Now, the third thing here is we're going to do this together right now, okay? So everybody quit typing or asking questions, and I want you all to let me know a Discord server, the name of a Discord server that is public and open for game developers. Everybody, you're like my own chat GPT right now. Everybody list out what are those servers that you love so much. And I'm going to guess Brackeys is going to be written. And I want you to list out the exact.
Let's check out. Mm, it's expired. Or actually, I might be in it. I'll check later on. Okay. So
Name, okay? We can't post links, but we're going to post the exact name. Okay. Game Dev League, Game Dev Fireside, Game Dev Field Guide, Buster Network, Brackeys, Indie Legion. Keep going, keep going. Game Dev TV, very good. I like that one. Unreal Slackers, Lost Relic. Okay, so guys, I'm getting chills because look at this. Look at how important this live stream is for all of us, including me. These are all servers that you can join. So, as these are populating in the chat, everybody open a new tab and join 3 of the servers you see. Okay, so I'm
this
going
is
to give
what
you
I'm
all
doing,
time to
but
do this. Just Google the name
I'm doing this but on my phone, so yeah.
of the server, and it should take you to an invite link. Join the server, okay? Now, those of you who actually do this, who join 3 servers, those of you who actually do this and begin to participate in the server, I cannot tell you how important it is and how much you're going to grow, because there's going to be one person on that server that you gravitate towards or that answers your questions, who's generous to you and helps you. And you're going to come up with ideas and you're going to learn things and you're going to be able to stand on their shoulders and grow together. So what I want you to do is to take the challenge right now to actually join those servers, especially if you're a solo game dev, because you need it, okay? I know some of you are scared to do this, but just take that first step, okay? Once you've done that, let me know in the chat and say I, A-Y-E, I. I will give you a shout out. Rob, known, Serene. That's what I wanted to see. This is what I mean. Very, very good. So important that you guys start building a community, okay?
Next one.
Let's move on to the technical side of solo game dev. Now, this is obvious. The biggest problem here, and this is the only problem we're going to talk about, is you can't do everything yourself, okay? Most of you just can't. And I like to say I did for Pinstripe. However, I did not port to console. So frankly, I didn't do everything. But I did do the music and the art and the code, but most of you aren't going to do that. And I don't even recommend you do that because it took me 4 or 5 years to do this. Okay? So maybe you're not an artist and your art sucks. Or maybe you're not a musician and your music sucks. Maybe you just don't have the time to learn. You've got all this other stuff to do, right? You've got to make a game. You don't have time to learn about games. Well, the solution here is just get some help, okay? This is so I know this is so obvious, but you just need to be okay with finding help and not being so proud about your game. I say this I laugh about this because I didn't do this. For my first game, I just did not want to do this. I felt like I had to do everything on my own. So go to the asset store, Unity asset store, find some freelancers on like Fiverr, and then we'll also talk quickly about AI, okay? The most important one here is by far the Unity asset store, okay? So we're gonna jump on over to the Unity asset store really quickly here. And I just wanna show you really quick like why this is so important. And this is something that, you know, I gotta give myself some credit when I was younger. I didn't really have this, not to this extent, but it's like almost, it's incredibly foolish not to use the Unity asset store. So if you're gonna make a 2D game, you just click 2D, and then you've just got a bunch of assets for 2D, okay? So if you wanted to make a 2D platformer, you just type in 2D platformer kit, okay? And there's just a ton of them, a ton of kits. Guys, like half the work is done. And so you need to be okay with doing this. You don't have to do everything from scratch. And the people who do everything from scratch, generally, a general rule of thumb, is they're going to get left in the dust as, I'm going to say Zoomers. I feel like Gen Z are going to be much quicker at making games. Anybody who's Gen Z in the chat, let me know. I'm like getting old. I'm a millennial, but let me know in the chat if you're Gen Z. The reason I say that is because I feel like Gen Z is much more resourceful when it comes to like using tools, digital tools. Um, so yeah, there's 2D game kits here. There's also a ton of 3D assets as well. And if you're confused about, well, I want more than just a kit. I need some very hyper specific models. Then you can just go to TurboSquid and get some hyper specific models. But if you guys have ever seen a very beautiful 3D game, specifically like walking sims, and they're made by a solo developer, they're probably made by utilizing the Unity asset store. So we've got a lot of Z's in here. We've got a lot of Z's, and then we've got some boomers. I am a big fan of boomers. I think that boomers get a bad rap, as does any older generation, but there's a lot to learn from every generation. So Gen Z, I'm really, really impressed by how resourceful they are. And so they're going to be using these tools, guys. And so those of you who are like millennials, don't get left in the dust by Zoomers who know how to just grab tools and make games really fast. Okay. Gavin at 2-Star Games, the developer of Choo Choo Charles, he did a great job. Utilizing assets and making Choo Choo Charles and turning it into $1 million game. So that is exactly what you need to do. If you're a solo game developer, you need to be using assets. Now you can also use ChatGPT. Now this is like probably stupid to some of you. Like, why is Thomas talking about ChatGPT? Like, this is so trendy of him. The reason I'm saying this is because ChatGPT 4 came out, and they're starting to create integrations and tools associated with ChatGPT. And there's even a tool inside of Unity that I think you can download, or it's coming out, which will just write code for you. So for example, I said, write some C# code for Unity to generate floating islands. I can copy and paste this into a script, and it will generate these islands, okay? This isn't perfect, but give it a year, and you're going to see people making games with ChatGPT.
Well, I didn't know you can actually, instead of building something in Blender, you can build an object with a script. Okay, this is something new and something that I definitely have to test out by myself because this is great.
Entirely. So don't be afraid of it. You've got to use it, despite the fact that it is very scary how powerful this is. It's really important that you at least, what I do is I just watch YouTube videos of ChatGPT and the new tools available. So this one, I wouldn't say use it now. I would say start understanding it, because it's going to be super duper important for you to use as a solo developer in the coming years. I would say that the most successful solo developers are going to be the ones who are utilizing AI. It's kind of the sad truth, and I really do think that it's sad just because the meticulous nature of making games is probably going to go away to some degree, and those of us who are used to it, myself included, are used to that tinkering, meticulous, doing it from scratch mentality. We're going to be the ones who suffer. So just try to change your paradigm to be more focused on what potential AI tools come out, especially with ChatGPT.
Yeah, he's right. Okay, and this one? Or some help? Complete, maybe? It's complete. Um,
Moving on to the Q&A. Wow, 348 people watching. This is just so cool. Okay. I love
the
how
one that
passionate you guys are about this. There's just a massive community of people out there who want to make indie games, and I love it. Alrighty. So let's run along and take a look at these Q&A questions. All right. Thomas, give an example of what you do from time to time to balance all of your different hats. and not stress out and not burn out. So I do have a team now, okay? But it's a tiny team and I manage a lot of the stuff. Um, and what I use and this would be helpful for anybody who's even doing solo development. I use a tool called ClickUp. It's like Monday.com or Trello, but I really like ClickUp.
Okay, let's check. Click up. Hmm. I know the icon of it. So click up. Okay, so this is sort of a Notion or Trello, as he said. I like it. Looks nice. Get started. It's free. I have to sign up. I'll do that later. I'll check it and I'll let you know maybe in the next live stream. How was it?
ClickUp. And so I use ClickUp to sort of manage all of the tasks. With Pinstripe, I didn't do any of that. And so it was all just a mess. And I put it all inside of like this notebook. I've been using these notebooks, this Moleskine notebook. But I would just write it all down and it was really overwhelming. So now I put it all on ClickUp. Okay. What side is more important in your opinion? Well, they correlate with each other. If I had to pick one, I would say the emotional side. If you're not emotionally healthy while you're making your game and you don't have a nice motivation and a good goal, you're not going to be able to do anything. So the emotional side is super duper important. You need to have an understanding of what exactly your goal is. You need to have some accountability with that goal, and you also need a community. If you don't have those things, you're probably not, the technical doesn't even matter at that point. All right. What about Milanote? That's great. Milanote's great too. How much do you make a year from game dev? Well, we talked about this last year, or not last year. We talked about this yesterday. I have a variety of income sources. I've got like maybe 5 income sources that are just sort of running all the time. And so I've had years where my company's gross revenue is over $500,000. So I'll just say that. I've had years where that happens. I just don't want to tell you exactly how much I make, when I make it, blah, blah, blah. But I've had years like that. And it's just from selling games, partnering with platforms, partnering with publishers, selling online courses, selling physical copies of my games, selling digital copies of my games. And I will say having an audience really, really helps. So I recommend everybody build an audience, okay? How do you get motivated again to restart a project after having to restart your whole project over after almost being done? Well, the motivation really does come down to that goal, okay? And I've been there. Well, I remember with Pinstripe, when I was working on Pinstripe, I think I was 3 years into development, and I scrapped a ton of the graphics of the game. So basically, it was like half of the game was just that pink default Unity material, because I decided to just do it. I did an update to Unity, and then I just redid a lot of the graphics. So it was very difficult to follow through with it. But signing with a publisher really helped. So they kept me accountable. So that was something I didn't mention during the webinar. They kept me accountable, right? But also my goal kept me accountable. And my goal was to release a game and make 50 grand from it, which was a tiny little goal. That was a tiny little goal, but it worked, it was achieved. Thomas, what do you look for in a teammate? So guys, if you're considering building a team, the first thing you look for is someone who's willing to sign a contract, because you want to have a nice agreement. Fences make good neighbors, right? Anybody heard that quote? So it's really, really important that whoever you're working with, despite being incredibly friendly with them and really loving them and thinking they're awesome, and you can get a beer with them and you can hang out, it doesn't matter. You need a contract, because when $1 million is flashed in front of your face, suddenly you're not friends anymore. Okay? So you want to make sure that there's a contract. So I would sign a contract even if you're both partnering up and you're not paying each other, that kind of thing. But who do I look for in a teammate? I look for people who I can be friends with, and I look for people who I philosophically align with. This is going to sound strange, but it's kind of like a marriage. I'm a big proponent of marrying somebody who shares your same beliefs and your philosophies. Sure, they're supposed to help you grow, but at the end of the day, you're probably going to raise a family. If you're going to raise a family, you want to make sure everything is pretty solid and you're not arguing about core basic beliefs about the world. The same is true with your team. You want your team to have a pretty, like, everyone generally shares the same vision about the work environment, the culture, what kind of games you like, what you want the messaging in your games to be like, even how you communicate, the words you use, right? Your sense of humor. All of that is so important because at the end of the day, guys, you're going to hate your game. You're probably going to start hating your game. And so if you're working with a team, while you hate your game, you can enjoy each other, right? And you can, like, I used to
That's
love
true.
working at this shoe store, despite the fact that the shoe store sucked. I had a friend there, and we just loved working together. And so the same is true with your game. There's going to come a day when you really don't like your game. And so it's really important to have a team member on Discord that you can just, make fun of, have fun, crack jokes. And that's what Felipe and I do, and Hector and I do, and AJ and I. We all are very, very close with one another. We have a very strong friendship.
I'm trying to adjust the light.
Hey, Get Indie Gaming is with us, guys. Feel free to go and subscribe to Get Indie Gaming. It's a great channel. I've been definitely been inspired by their channel and their editing. And Miss Cloud is with us as well. And Miss Cloud is definitely somebody to listen to because Miss Cloud, you're currently full time, I believe. What do you think about developers that make the same game for more than 8 years? I think that they're making a huge gamble. And you can certainly go, well, what about Stardew Valley? Well, that is a big gamble. And that one developer was very smart and very talented and very lucky. I would say more talent on the talented side. Most of us aren't that talented. So I don't recommend making a huge gamble like that. I would rather say, get your game done in a year or two and be done with it and move on. If it doesn't make a lot of money, that's okay. You can go for it again. If you want to make games, you need to be in it for the long haul. I don't recommend just thinking, I want to make one game. You should really be thinking, before you begin your journey, it's kind of like the Oregon Trail. I don't know why I thought about that, but it's like, I used to play that game. It's like, if you're gonna do this thing, be prepared to die of scurvy. The same is true with game dev. If you're gonna do this, be prepared for pain, suffering, the long haul, bitter late nights, frustration, thinking that you're an idiot for even doing this, that kind of thing. Okay. Oh my goodness, we've got a ton of the same question. Malihi, I will not answer your question. Don't do that. Okay, I love you, but don't do that. Malihi, please. You're going to get banned in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2,
Poor guy.
1. Thank you. Okay, and if Malihi types that question again, Miss Cloud, you can ban him. That's just not very nice to do that. Okay, how's the dog game? Dog game is on the back burner. If you're making a multiplayer game that you want to update each month, it is smart to put it out on early access. I think that's correct, Kimbo James. I think that multiplayer games, sandbox games, creative games, those are games that are probably more conducive to early access. I don't have a ton of experience in access with early access though. How do you correctly scope a game? This is a great question from the Z-Bill Dill. The Z-Bill Dill. The way that you scope a game. This is what I was taught this by. What was your name? He
Come
made
on,
this
Thomas.
quick 2D game, and then he also made this game about sailing. What was that game? It was like a. Anyway,
Give his the credit.
he was telling me that you need to have an hourly rate, despite the fact that you're not even paying yourself. So you need to give yourself an hourly rate. What do you think your time is worth? I recommend starting with like $30, $40 an hour, and then basically you figure out how many hours you're willing to work for this game and how much that's going to cost you. And then you can look at other similar games that have a similar budget. Remember, Hollow Knight was like 40 grand when it first was kickstarted, right? So you need to be thinking of that kind of a scope. You look at other games and you sort of estimate their budgets. Maybe look it up on Google, and then you figure out how much time you're willing to spend with your hourly rate. Okay, that's kind of the way I do it. Malihi, it's okay. Don't be sorry. It's okay. Don't worry
Smart.
about it. I just don't want you to spam the chat because everybody else has questions too. So just be careful. But it's okay. No big deal. How much documentation is too much documentation? I don't know what you mean. Did you ever feel like you stopped enjoying video games while developing your game? David Castro, I don't play games at all. I don't play games at all. But I also have kids, and that's not really possible with children jumping on your head. Have you considered developing a game primarily for mobile? No. I would say console and mobile are just not very profitable these days. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, Miss Cloud says that he stopped playing games. I stopped playing games. It's mainly because again, back to the marriage metaphor. When you get married, you don't keep going on dates. So when and I know it's definitely not a good thing that I
So basically, once you start taking yourself seriously about making a game, you just stop playing games. And I also don't feel like playing games anymore. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe that's a bad sign. I don't know. It depends on also what you guys want to see on this channel, honestly. And thank you very much for staying here with me. It's sad though that you don't leave a comment right now, but hello to all of you that are watching. Welcome. I hope you are having a great time and we learned something new.
don't play games. I should play games, but I just feel it feels weird. It just feels weird. Um, yeah, kids jumping on you while playing video games is just added difficulty. That's right, Clayton. All right. Any other questions here, guys? Where's the best place to publish your game? Is Steam a good option? Steam's a great option. Steam's easy to build for. It's the easiest platform to build for, and it's the most profitable generally for indies. Now there are some games, indie games, that people like indies will swear by that they release their game on Switch. I think those were the early days of Switch. I mean, you're gonna make money, but like when you think about the ROI, like it's gonna cost you. It barely costs you anything
ROI means return on investment or of investment, something like that.
to port your game to Switch or Steam. I mean, there is no port. You're just clicking export, right? But the port for Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch is expensive. Does anybody know why porting to console is expensive? Can anybody in the chat give me why is it so expensive to port to console? There's mainly two reasons. What are the two reasons why? Does anybody know? Let's
Maybe
see if
it's
you can
hard
answer the
to
question.
move all the
Nope, it's
buttons
not
and
the dev
stuff.
kits. That's cheap compared to the actual
I don't
cost.
know.
Dev kit is going to be like $700 max, but it can cost upwards to $100,000 to port. Okay, the first one is correct. CGI guy, optimization. That's number one. So like Nintendo Switch, you got to basically port it for a toaster, okay? And that takes a lot of time because you got to basically strip the game of anything that's killing performance. And oftentimes, they're sort of like hidden things that you don't even know are causing the game to perform poorly. And the second one is what? Legal stuff? Nope. Licenses? Nope. Percentage fees? Nope. Localization? No, you should be localizing for Steam. QA, that's related to the first one. Keep going. We got it. We're almost there. Nope. Not exclusive content, not marketing, not audience. Certification. That's it. Boom, bing. Chris Moss. I mean, certification is generally the right answer. Basically, it's you have to adapt the game to everything that Microsoft is obsessed with, right? So Microsoft will send you this PDF and Excel spreadsheets and all this crap that you have to sort through and scrub through. They'll basically send you, imagine like if the Bible or like the Quran was sent to you, but it was like some of the books were Excel spreadsheets and some of them were PowerPoints and some of them were like locked, like you had to have a VPN to view a web page. they're just scattered everywhere, and they send you all this documentation about how exactly your game should be. So, ooh, you need to use this icon for the Y button. Oh, you need to use this icon when you're loading a save file. And then there's also like just a bunch of how data is saved on the cloud per platform. So there's all these idiosyncrasies. So you basically have to hire a porting studio if you don't want to go crazy. So you hire a porting studio, it's going to cost you $7,000 to $100,000 to port to these platforms. So that's my theory. Miss Cloud Games is generally correct here. It's basically a new game behind the scenes at times. Do I read the Quran? No, I do not. Okay, let's keep going, guys. If you're a solo, this is from Dr. Medics. Dr. Medics, welcome back. If you're a solo developer, which sites should you prioritize managing content creation, uploading on? Should I use my digital self for game dev or my actual self? I don't know what you're saying there. I would say for the first question, what sites do you prioritize managing content creation? Oh, I see. Yeah. So when it comes to building an audience, well, there's no right answer here. You know, some of you are really good at TikTok creation because you're young whippersnappers doing
Attention
Zoom,
grabber.
or not Zoom. You're Zoomers doing TikTok. I'm learning how to do TikTok, and I'm not very good at it. And sometimes people say it's cringe, and that's just it's because I'm learning. But I'm really good at YouTube, so I can do YouTube. So I prioritize YouTube, and then I drive traffic to what? What do I drive traffic to? Solo developers need to do this as well. It doesn't matter whether you're a solo developer or a team. You have content. What does it drive? Where does it drive people to in terms of game sales? Where are we driving people? More specific. Full-time game dev, yeah.
The course
Your
itself, yeah.
mom's house. Okay, funky. Maybe you want them to drive traffic. You want to drive traffic to wish list, okay? And wish lists convert to sales, okay? A wish list is better than a sale, in my opinion. No, that's not true. That's true for other products that you can sell multiple products. It's not true for Steam, so take that back. A wish list is not better than a sale. An email address is better than a sale. A wish list is not, because you don't have control over the wish lists. You do have control over an email address. So email addresses are more valuable than a wish list.
Yeah, because a wish list is basically only once. Emails are as often as the developer ones. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. It's just
But you can't prioritize getting email addresses because you shouldn't override Steam wishlist, because the Steam algorithm really loves it. Also, publishers love seeing high wishlist numbers as well before they sign your game. Okay, is it worth the money? This is from John. Is it worth the money to put my games in Steam, or just take a shot for that? What? You should put your games on Steam. I don't really know what your question was. What do you think about services like Backer Camp? Backer Camp or Backer Kit? How scoped should a first crappy game be? It should take you 3 to 5 months. And that might be different than what I've recommended in previous streams, but right now I'm thinking 3 to 5 months. 3 to 5 months of just making a crappy game and then releasing it. Okay. How do you find a publisher? Well, let's do it right now. Okay. So you're you're a solo game developer, right? Pitch deck. I've got my pitch deck. I've also got a list. So let's start with Devolver. You
we
Google.
also saw this one on the video that I posted the last time on my channel, so we can skip this question. Let's move on.
AI. Any other questions, guys? Thomas, is it worth it this is from Ivan. Thomas, is it worth it trying Kickstarter before contacting publishers? Who knows why that's a risk? Does anybody know? Why is it a risk to contact or to do a Kickstarter campaign publishers away if the Kickstarter fails, right? And that is the answer. That is the answer. So Miss Cloud gave us a great answer here. It may fail and leave a bad impression. That's right. So there is no better pitch to a publisher than a successful Kickstarter campaign. In fact, it's such a good pitch that you might not even need the publisher, right? It's that good. Your game is that good and it's already profitable. Now the problem is, if you are like me, you really feel icky about doing a Kickstarter campaign while having a publisher if they've given you more than enough funding. Okay. Now my previous games, we definitely needed more funding with Kickstarter, so I was happy to do it, and I did have a publisher, but I disclosed that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Alexandra, please stop. Alexander, please stop.
We don't have an
Stop the
Alexander.
spamming.
Yes.
Have to work on your first crappy game. For me, it was 6 months. So it was a little longer. Well, actually, my first crappy game was a game called Geometry Wars. Flash Geometry Wars. I didn't make Geometry Wars. I copied Geometry Wars. Flash Geometry Wars when I was like 17. That was like 2 months. Then I made a game called Coma. That was 6 months. Okay. How much time did you... Okay, no, I just answered that. Does a U.S. publisher target the world or only the U.S. market? Well, what's a publisher trying to do? They're trying to make money. So why would they only publish the U.S.? So they're not. They're going to publish everywhere. And if they're a smart publisher, they will also have an Asian market team who releases in the Asian market. Specifically, I think China. I could be wrong. It's got to be China. But there's a lot of money. You could maybe even 50% of your sales could come from China. So you want to make sure I've heard stories where 50% of the revenue came straight from China. So that's what I would do. Is I'd find a publisher who not only does international, which most of them do, but one who also has an Asian arm. Thomas, how do you make a game popular before release? Thank you for slowing down, Alexander. So I'll reward your question. If you guys want your questions answered, the best way is to not spam. So do you know any tips on how to make a game popular before release? Sure. Social media and a really good trailer. So posting devlogs on YouTube, posting trailers on YouTube, how-to videos on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, GIFs and clips and shorts and memes. But you don't get anything out of it unless you direct the traffic to what? What do we direct the traffic to in our social media posts? Wish lists. Adam H says, Thomas, please explain why you should make a crap game first. Won't it just waste my time that I would be spending on my main game? Either way, learning the process, no. By the way, I love your course. I've learned a lot. Adam, the reason why we do a crappy game first is so that you learn to be okay with failure. It's mainly a psychological tool. You release a crappy game first because you will have a crappy game first. 99% of you will, just by default, your first game's going to suck. It's going to suck. And so might as well just get it over with and rip the Band-Aid off. So it's basically a way for you to instantly get your battle scars as quick as possible. So there's no reason to waste your time on polishing a turd. So I would just recommend get it out there, get it done. And it's okay if that game, when you release it, turns out you actually do want to make that game better. That's okay. Okay. I released a game called Coma, which was a 15-minute tiny little first game. And I released it and I was done with it. And then 6 years later, I released it and made over $500,000 from that game. So, but a much more hyper-polished game, and we renamed it to Neversong. So it's okay to release a crappy game and then take it one day and then make it better and release it again on like more commercial platforms, aka ones that you can make money from, like Steam and console. What is the average daily working time on game dev when you had studies? 2 hours a day on top of the studies or my full time job. So I would work in class a lot. Um, I really hated college. I didn't hang out with anybody except for my fiance at the time. She's my wife now. Um, so I didn't pay attention in school, and I would just sort of cram before exams. But I would work on my games in class in my laptop, and then I would go to the library and work on my games there. When I had a desk job, I would work during lunch break. I would work in the evenings and then the mornings as well.
Hmm.
Um, Thomas, that's dedication. How did you do that?
So like my plan for the next year.
Well, it's really easy to do something when you're suffering worse without it. So
Yeah.
when you really don't like your job and you want to quit it so badly, then working on your game is a relief because it gives you some hope. It's like a drop of water in the desert of like maybe this will happen one day. So it's so like that's why I'm a big fan of doing like working a job you really hate because it motivates you to do your game and to pursue that. So, all right. Thomas is 27 years old, late to start. Are you kidding me? No. But I will say, once you hit your 30s, once you start having kids, once you get married, it does get very hard. How many of you are in your 20s right now? How many of you are in your 20s? Give me a hand emoji. Do you have ADHD? Probably. I've never gone to the doctor about it, but everyone I work with and everybody I hang out with and all my family think I do. Okay, so we've got a lot of 20-year-olds here. The 20s are the best time to suffer. If you're looking to make a game, you're probably going to suffer a little bit. If there's any time, the best time to suffer is in your 20s because you have a lot of energy. You also have like your
Drive.
hormones are like in the best possible shape. Like you have
That's true.
a lot of like energy and you have hormonal balance and you're healthiest. You should be. And the sky's the limit and you dream big, right? And you also don't have a lot of social attachments. But Thomas, I gotta go to parties. What are you doing? Don't do that. Do something great with your life. Don't go to a party. That's stupid.
Same mindset here.
It's the best time to build something. Okay? Throughout human history, people were building stuff in their 20s, not playing drinking games. Sorry if I'm being a little bit harsh here, but what are you doing? Like, I see people who did all that in college and they took 5-6 years to finish college. And then I look at their life now and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But then there's people who worked their butt off in their 20s and actually built something. Like me. So
I
just
think.
uh, be a little bit more mature in your 20s, guys, because those are your golden years. And that decade dries up real fast.
That's true. I mean, I'm still in my 20s, but
All right.
it's already
I did not do game dev school. I just went to school for graphic design.
and he hated
Okay,
it?
Astra
What?
has to head out here, so I'm going to answer Astra's question. Should I put a casual game on Steam even if I basically know I won't get a return? Sure, yeah. Go for it. Again, I'm all about taking steps in the right direction and getting those steps over with. Okay? I like to get things over with. So if you want to say, I released a Steam game, do it as fast as you can, get it over with, and be done with it. Get the terrible reviews, have all this negative comments, get a mostly negative score, and you will have a badge of honor, which is, I released my first Steam game. Now I'm not scared to do it. Fear is what's going to make most of you not finish your game. And so I'm a big fan of just getting it over with, get the fear over with, so that you're not scared anymore.
Honestly, I don't know if I'm not really scared of this, but my only concern, it's a better word for it, It's just the fact that I don't really know how the taxes work in general. Like, when do I have to declare my money? What do I have to do with that? It's a huge, huge problem for me because I don't know how many of you guys know. Not studying in my actual country. So I don't know if I have to declare my income back in my country, if I also have to do it here. Like, I really have to take notes about it and how everything works related to this field because I'm a baby and I really want to uh, know all this stuff at some point when my game is almost done and I want to publish it because I really want to do that at some point. I mean, why not? It's amazing.
Is it pre? This is such an important question. Tapioca says, "Is it premature to think about having a logo for your studio?" You should have a logo for your studio when you're in utero. You need to have everything out there right now. Social media, put it all out there, okay? A terrible logo. You can use papyrus font and you can draw a little sketch and then put it in scan it in and that's your logo. Get started. I'm all about making the step towards the right direction. It's very, very important to get things done now, okay? World Will Run on Crypto says that he is 45 years old. I believe you're saying that. Well, it's too late for you. Moving on. I'm kidding. It's not. It's harder. It's harder, but obviously not. Um, Alrighty. Let's see here. When should you make a Steam page? Who knows the answer to this?
No,
Riot Writes Code asks, when should you make a
I
Steam
also
page?
have to do
Who
that.
knows the answer to this? What in utero? You should have a Steam page. Yesterday.
Actually, I'm curious now. Another confirmation. Okay. Game name, developers, publishers. Oh, so I think you actually have to build a Steam page for the game that you want to publish, right? Mm, that's true. Let's see. This is useful. Let's save this. At some point, we can look on it. I'm curious. Log in and set up a. And sign up to be a game developer. I don't know if I sign up for that. So I have to do that. Payment notification. See exactly what I've told you about the taxes and stuff. Your payment, building your game store page. Okay. Click your game. Oh, prepare for release. Hmm. Wait a sec. I'm curious how it looks like on YouTube. Like someone actually did it and it's showing us the outcome. I want to see the end. Okay, I have to plug in my laptop. Let's see. So how does it? No, this is for the. Um, I think this is how it looks like. Okay. Let's get back to Thomas. I'll look at it later on.
That's right, Alex. um, immediately, but I disagree. Why do you disagree? I mean, I would love to know why you disagree. The reason you should have a Steam page now is because you need to be securing those wish lists. Okay, start getting those 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 wish lists. Okay, all right. Even before making a prototype, yes, yes, get it out there. So many, like, the risk of not making a move is way scarier than releasing your Steam page too early. So you need to get your Steam page out there right now. People take their stuff way too seriously. Like your game and your demo and your trailer and your video and your social post, your logo, your company page, your Twitter page. Nobody cares. It's tiny the amount people are going to care. All of you, or many of you, sorry, I'm getting a little fussy right now. Most of you are too scared to make moves. Just get it out there. Nobody cares. It's called the spotlight effect. It's where you think everybody is caring about your logo. Nobody cares. So just put some out there, get it done, and you can fix it later. All right? Start making moves. In which phase of development of the game should we start the Kickstarter? After you have a good 15-minute demo and after you have a really polished trailer with, and it's okay if you have just some footage from the 15-minute demo and then you throw in some like concept footage. That's when you're ready to make a Kickstarter. Why? Because you can take that 15-minute demo and then also the trailer, take all of that footage and create what? A Kickstarter video with all that footage. So yes, probably after you have a 15-minute demo and you're sure you're ready to put your neck out and lay it all out there, and hopefully get funded. Because if you don't get funded, you can't get rid of the Steam page or the Kickstarter page. Should I come up with a game title first or last? Obviously first. The reason I say it's obvious is because if you're going to start securing wish lists, you don't want to secure wish lists for a game that has one name and then suddenly it's a different name. I've done this twice.
Oh,
So
that's
don't
bad.
be like me. It makes your wish lists less effective.
Okay, so I think this was the course basically, the one that I wanted to do tonight, but I still want to do something. Because my library, here are the courses I sign up for. Why not? But it's yeah, it's also done. Arcas complete. Nice. Okay, Thomas, I finished this course. Now, should I remove it? Is it possible? I don't think so. It's gonna remain there, no problem. We can watch it whenever we want. Let's see what else do we want. Have you thought about diving into district halls will help you into the course? We can do this, not now, but I will do it with you guys. I also wanted to show you that I have a surprise. I've recorded something that's gonna appear these days. I will have to edit it tomorrow and record myself talking about what I did, of course, inserting those parts. And I promise it's gonna be a very funny video, actually. Not that useful, not that, I mean, interesting, yes, because you will see literally a downfall. So, okay, learn how to monetize your game. Mm, it's like securing income in just 12 months. I think we can watch this, or maybe I can do another live stream with it tomorrow, actually. There's not a lot of activity tonight. I'm also a bit tired, so maybe I can close this one and I can come back tomorrow with another live stream. I think when there's a bit more of a, you know, interaction between me and you guys. So I guess this was the live stream for tonight. I think very short
If you're an
compared,
ultimate
oops, compared to what I had before on my channel. But yeah, I'm done on conformist. Thank you very, very much for watching. For those who've been here, of course, and for those who are watching after it's finished. I'll see you in the next one. I'll promise I'll post that video this week. It's gonna be a surprise one. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.